Hello, everybody. I'm George from Beau Monde Guitars, and today we have a very special treat for everybody. Today we have Mr. Rob Balducci with us. Rob, thank you for coming down.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me out.
Rob's here today for a masterclass clinic brought to you by Ibanez Guitars and Dario Strings. And we're going to start off with some questions before the class. Are you up for it?
Yeah.
All right, let's get it going. So, Rob, why did you choose Ibanez Guitars, and what are your favorite features about some of the ones that you play?
Let's see. Well, I think what got me first hooked on to Ibanez, really, to be honest with you, was I remember I'm a big, Guitar Magazine fan. So when I was a kid, I was looking through the guitar magazines, and I saw these ads with the Ibanez guitars in them, and they had some really pretty inventive ads. Like Joe Satriani's like flying, in the room and stuff, and all this crazy stuff. So that's what got me keyed on to the brand. And then I went into the local music store and I tried one out, and I ended up really liking it. I like the playability of it. The neck is really probably the first thing that brought me to it, because it's a very, the radius of the neck makes it very easy to play and bend. And I also liked, I like the fact that I think that, if you notice Ibanez throughout the years, they do develop and come out with new things, and they upgrade their hardware and they change things. So it's a little being innovative, and I think that's what keeps me attracted to it as well.
That is awesome. So how did you come to sign with Steve Vai's label, Favored Nations Entertainment?
That goes back to, well, I had one record out. My first record was called Balance, and that was released in 1995, and that was through Red Distribution, Sony Music Distribution Company. And then, it was weird. It was on an independent label, but with major distribution, which is a good thing. But what happened is the small label that I was with did not stick around that much. So I had my second record ready to go, and there was no label. So I started to shop around to different companies, and at that time I was actually even working at a record company, which is Relativity Records, and Steve Vai was signed to the label. So I started to get some feedback that he was going to be starting this label, Favored Nations. So I said, wow, that would be the perfect vehicle, because I had my record all done and everything, So I said, let me send it to him. So I was able to send it to him, and at the time he got back to me and he said, I'm just starting this up, and I'm receiving a lot of stuff. He said, so yeah, you got to give me some time. And I said, sure, no problem. And then, maybe a month or two later, he ended up giving me a call, and he said he listened to the stuff and he liked it, and he wanted to do a test release in Japan first. So we ended up doing that, and that went well. And then after that, I was with him. I think I'm the only Favored Nations artist that's actually has 3 releases through there. I have my second record, Mantras, through there. Then I have an album called The Color of Light that was through Favored Nations, and then an album called Violet Horizon that was through there. And then I have a new record out now, which wasn't put through there because he stopped kind of releasing records for a while through the label. So, the whole industry is kind of crazy. So, but the new record was put out from my own label.
Oh, awesome. Now for my favorite part, the gear talk. So name one piece of gear aside from your guitars that you cannot live without.
It's got to be an overdrive. Oh, it's hard. It's either an overdrive box or a wah.
Okay.
I kind of use, I'm not like a lot of people say Kirk Hammett uses his wah too much. I kind of could fall in that category, but I think I use it a little more sparingly and in special spots. So it's either the wah or the overdrive. I don't think I could play without either one of those.
You tastefully do it.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on the gear you used on the new record, 821 Monroe Drive?
Sure. The new record was the first record of mine that I actually did myself and recorded all the guitar parts in my home studio. So I think it was really cool because you're not paying for the time in a studio to do your guitar tracks. So I was able to experiment a lot with, what guitar sounds good on this track and what amp should I use for this one. So it was a cool experience because I didn't have to rush, and so I was really able to say, you know what, this song, this amp sounds really good with it. And the amps that I used a big combination. I have a Cornford MK50 that I used. I had an EVH 50 watt that I used. I also used the Soldano 50 watt plus. I used a Mesa Boogie, one of those little mini rectifiers. Yeah, yeah. And depending on what the track called for, I would use either amp, whatever amp. Sometimes I like to do a combination. I'll put Cornford on one side and Soldano on the other.
Nice blend going.
Yeah. I think that works good. Especially the blending. I figured out a long time ago that I did like a lot the Soldano on one side and the Cornford on the other. For some reason, the two mashed together sound really good.
Is there something the one amp does well that the other one doesn't?
I just think it's the tonal characteristic of them is different. To me, the Soldano is darker and the Cornford is brighter. So when you mix them together, it makes a good sandwich.
And everyone loves sandwiches. Next question we have for you. So YouTube has spawned tons of new artists, guitar players, all kinds of stuff. Are there any in particular that inspire you that you've seen?
I can't say that I'm a fan of the YouTube artist. I like the fact that I think the cool thing about YouTube is that you can go on, and you could see something. You could see something like this, where you're doing interviewing with artists, and you could see artists themselves. Like I do a YouTube channel, and I do playing to my songs, and I talk about gear, and I talk about recording, and I talk about inspiration. So that's really what I like about YouTube. As far as something that inspired me, like a particular artist, I can't say that it has, but I think the whole idea of what's available inspires me because there's a lot of information that you have at your fingertips.
Can you tell us a little bit about your rig that you brought here with you today?
Sure. Well, recently, for the past year, I've been endorsed with DV Mark amps. So they're an Italian amp company, and they make this. Today, what I'm using is it's called a multi-amp. So it's a rack-mountable amp that has 3 channels on it, but it's a little bit different. Each channel is. You could use like modeling from each channel has its modeling that you could put into each of the channel spots. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool, and it has the effects in there. It has a built-in power amp. It's stereo. So I really like that. So that's what I'm using as my main amp source, plus delays coming through there and some chorus. And then I have an effect, my effect board, which my board used to be like the size of this room, and they got down to where it's kind of small now, which I try not to do. I could actually do the show with the whammy, the wah, and the overdrive. But what I have on here is Morley Wah, of course. I've been using them for a long time. The Whammy 5 pedal. I have the new Keeley Dnm Drive, which I really love. I have my TS9 Tube Screamer, which I've had this for a long time, which is going to be raffled off at the end of the set. I have the Ultimate Octave, which is a full tone effect. Then I have a Phase 90, the classic EVH Phase 90. And another Keeley effect, which is possibly my favorite effect pedal to this that's been released in the past decade. It's called this Monterey pedal, and it's a vibe mixed with an auto wah, mixed with a rotary, and it also has a fuzz in there. And this is the germanium version, so it has the germanium. I guess if you're a tech head, it's got how they made it, germanium well, I guess resistors. Yeah, yeah. So it sounds really, really, really cool. And I'm actually recording a new record now. It's cool when you get new gear. You know, it sort of inspires you to write. So there's a couple of songs that feature this particular effect on this new record that I'm writing.
And what do you think about this Dnm Drive? I noticed you using it a lot.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love it. I use the drive a lot to where I have like an initial drive sound on my whatever amp I'm using, and then I use the overdrives sort of just to boost what's already there, not as a main source of an overdrive. The cool thing with this one is you can kind of do both. Like if I put it on a clean sound and then play the both sides together, you get a pretty decent, like really nice sound. So there's a lot you could do with it, with experimenting with it.
Can you tell me some of the ways you use your Phase 90?
Sure. The Phase 90 I basically use for certain songs that I've written. So, and again, the cool thing about the Phase 90 is it sounds good on overdrive, but it also sounds nice on a clean sound. It's very Floydy, kind of sounding. So I have a couple of songs where I'll use that for the clean. And then I have some songs where, I will use it for an overdrive kind of effect, sort of like, the eruption kind of sound, where that's kind of how it's set. As you notice, it's kind of set at,
low speed.
Yeah, low speed. So it kind of just, you get the curve and it sounds nice.
What can we expect from you in the near future?
Well, I'm writing a new record, so this is will be my 6th CD that I'm doing, and I'm excited about it. I mean, the cool thing I think about my music is it kind of changes. Each record is different, so it's not like as an artist you want to always advance, I think, and change. And I think that's a good thing, and that's what I kind of try and do on each record. So this new record, and I don't really know where it's taking me. I write where it's going. Like I don't write, hey, I got to write a heavy song today, or I got to write this kind of song. It's whatever comes out. Yeah. So
Just see where it's going to take
see where it's going to take me. Yeah.
We all follow you on Instagram, and you always have awesome posts about food and all kinds of stuff. So I have to ask you about the free bacon at the Astor Room because it looks amazing. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. I mean, the Astor Room is this cool place. It's Kaufman Studios.
Yes.
Well, it's attached to Kaufman Studios, so it's kind of cool. You can see like actors going in there if you go and hang out at this place. But you go in there and they have a nice happy hour, and they do this thing where they give away like glasses. You saw it, glasses of bacon. I mean, smoked bacon and all different kinds. It was great. If you like bacon, it's the place to go.
It looked very awesome. Well, Rob, I'd like to thank you for coming. I'm sure everybody's eager to hear you rip it up. So again, thank you for coming by.
Thanks.
And we're signing off. I'm George from Beau Monde Guitars, and we're about to see Rob Balducci tear it up.
Thank you.
Let's do it.